And welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page, as we continue to roll on, bringing you top stories, headlines, and, of course, breaking news. All right, next up, we want to get an update to the story that we have been following, the missing American college student now hitting its seventh day in this active investigation of a spring break nightmare in the Dominican Republic. So let's go right now out live to Nate Foy. Fox News' Nate Foy with the latest. You've been covering this story. What are the new details that we know at this hour?
Well, Mike, it's now entering its second week, and answers are still very difficult to come by. The Dominican Attorney General's office says they're not going to hold any news conferences until they have a significant development in the investigation, which means they don't have one right now, which, as you mentioned, is any parent's worst nightmare. Where we are right now is a Dominican Navy staging area. Take a look. I'll ask my photographer, Doug, to show the clothesline. You can see some uniforms left up right there, and small boats like this are being used to complement much larger Dominican Navy ships that have all been making their way down the coastline. Doug, if we can show right about this way, about 3 miles, that's where the Rio Republica Hotel Resort is. That's where Sudiksha Konanki stayed leading up to her disappearance. We are also learning more today about the man that she was last seen with. The Loudoun County Sheriff in Virginia, that's the hometown of this missing girl, is clarifying that the person that you saw in that surveillance video is not a suspect, is not a person of interest in any criminal investigation, but in a missing persons investigation, he is a person of interest. So that is where that stands. There are also reports that other people were also on the beach as those two went swimming. That young man reportedly told police that he got out of the water because the waves were so rough. He threw up and then passed out on the beach, ultimately leaving the beach hours after the rest of their friends did. And of course, Konanki was never seen after leaving that beach, or after going to that beach, I should say. As far as the search efforts today, all resources continue to be used. 300 agents searching the coastline. Yesterday, we had a really interesting moment where we saw a helicopter unit circling over a specific area, and then minutes later, dive teams got in the water and investigated that same area. It didn't appear that they found anything, but that is the sort of thing that is playing out on an hour-by-hour basis. The FBI and Homeland Security investigations are assisting local authorities, but as I mentioned, as we enter this second week, answers are difficult to come by. We'll send it back to you, Mike.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't even imagine. What about family members, friends? You mentioned yesterday that the family is there. Is there anybody else as far as friends in the active search as well for their loved one?
So the family actually just went back to Virginia, and they met with the Loudoun County Sheriff. And the sheriff explained what happened in that meeting. And essentially, the parents are having a really difficult time believing that she may have possibly drowned, which was reportedly what Dominican police were thinking was most likely. We do know that at this same beach in January, 4 people were swept out to sea. 2 of those people died. Their bodies were eventually found. Of course, that hasn't happened here, and we're now into the second week of the investigation. So as long as no body is found, there remains the possibility that Konanki is still alive, and that's why her parents are pushing for the investigation to be as broad as possible.
And Nate, lastly, what is the vibe on the beach there? Is there a feeling of maybe a dread that there is this missing girl, or is it just beachgoers as normal? What's your take?
It's an interesting mix. You know, people here will say that this is, if not one of the most extensive searches that they have ever seen. That being said, tourism continues. People are on spring break, and you can see people walking on the beach. So yesterday we were outside the Rio Republica Resort, where literally right next to searchers with snorkels, about 20 yards away, you see college students on spring break. So that's true, and it's also true that when you talk to especially the locals here, they're really disturbed. They're thinking about the family and can't imagine what they're going through, and everybody just wants answers at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Fox News' Nate Foy joining us with this latest in this investigation. Thanks so much for the updates. We appreciate it, and we'll continue to look for new ones as they become available. Thanks so much, Nate. All right, we'll take another 2-minute break. Stay right here with us, everyone. More to come on Live Now from Fox.